Let's all go to the lobby, lobby, lobby. Let's all go to the. Let's all go to the. Let's all go to the lobby. Let's all go to the. Let's all go to the. Let's all go to the.
Roll that beautiful bean footage.
Well, I was going to say, apparently the show takes place before Prometheus. It's supposed to be like the earliest thing that they've done in the universe. Oh, I mean,
outside
except
of
for Alien vs. Predator, yeah. But, you know.
Which I'm hearing conflicting reports, like it's canon, it's non-canon. I don't know.
I don't think it is. I wouldn't consider it canon. I don't know.
I mean, it makes a lot of... it explains Bishop. I mean, Bishop's in it.
Yeah.
Well, at least the guy who created Bishop is in it. A lot of Weyland-Yutani references.
Wasn't he in, like, 3, too?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, he comes back in 3.
Yeah.
That's when it's revealed that Bishop was created by this guy.
Yeah.
But in AVP, they make him seem like... I think he's a Weyland descendant? Like a grandson or something?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't know. No disrespect to Sanaa Lathan, but I'd like to pretend that movie doesn't happen. There are all these people
It
who
has
are like...
nothing to do with Sanaa Lathan, all right?
Yeah, that's true. There's so many people who... They have this, like... And, you know, we talked about it last week on the show proper, about, like, this nostalgia thing that is taken... And AVP, like, I think it has, like, a 65% on Rotten Tomatoes. It's not a good movie. It's not a good movie. Requiem is obviously worse.
Oh, yeah.
It's a terrible
Definitely,
movie.
yeah.
But AVP is not a good movie by any stretch of the
no.
imagination.
It's not. I'm tired of people pretending like it is.
That's what I'm saying. Like, I don't know what we're doing here. And then people are like, you know, put some respect on Sanaa Lathan's name as one of the leading ladies of Alien. It's like, I love Sanaa Lathan.
It was a bad movie.
It's a bad movie.
Yeah.
It's bad. It's
Yeah.
bad.
Yeah.
Bad. Yeah.
All right. Shall we get started?
Yeah.
On that note.
Let's get really started.
All right. This is the One Reel In podcast. The podcast where two brews review a movie for you. This one...
I think he just came up with that on the spot.
I did. It's freestyle. Let me cook. This is Marco Dupa.
Hi.
Usually the host of this show, but I'm here for the moves, the movies, the motion pictures, if you will. We're going to be talking about Alien Romulus. And I also like to open up the conversation a little bit to the Alien franchise as a whole. Surprise. And I would like, my goal for this review is to, at the end of it, come up with a ranking of all of the Alien movies.
Ooh. Yeah.
That's my hope and dream for this review.
Okay.
This episode of the One Reel In podcast.
Yeah.
Let's get started.
Let's do it.
Without further ado.
So wait, for the listeners.
Sure.
Adam has concealed what we're going to be drinking tonight.
Yeah.
Inside a Kung Fu kitchen bag, which is the closest thing we could get to Yutani.
Yeah.
In the Weyland-Yutani aspect of this. So,
comes off a little racist when you say it that way. But, you know. Without further ado, I've been doing some research. I've been in the labs of Weyland-Yutani, and I've concocted something. Discovered it, really, and it is alien blood.
Oh, look at that. That looks amazing.
Thank you.
How did you achieve... Wait, we can't really see it on camera. Hold on.
Yeah. You're gonna put it up. I have taken pictures, so maybe you can insert a picture.
Okay.
At this point for the viewers at home.
Look at that.
Yeah. I did my best to make something that is close to the look and feel of alien blood. And if you stir it, gives you a little fizz. You see? You see?
Oh, wow.
So.
Do you see?
Do you see?
But
yeah, let me go ahead and start serving us, my friend. But we went ahead this weekend and watched a new movie for a change.
Yeah.
And that would be Alien Romulus.
Well, the last one Reel In was
It was Dune, Part 2.
Dune 2.
Dune 2.
Dune 2. Doing two chicks at the same time.
That's a good point.
Has Rob has he seen Romulus? I kind of
don't
feel like
know.
he's becoming an extension of this form of the show.
And as I was concocting this alien blood, I was thinking the same thing. We miss you, Rob.
We miss you. Next one.
Yeah, we'll invite you over for the next one.
We'll force him to watch Deadpool and Wolverine.
I don't know if he'd like that.
Yeah.
But anyway,
He doesn't have a
we went ahead
choice.
to the movie theater and saw Alien Romulus. How was your theater experience? I want to ask that first because, as we discussed off mic, results may vary when you go to a movie theater nowadays, especially. How was your viewing experience?
Okay. Cheers. First and foremost.
Cheers to that.
Good. It's really good.
Thank you.
Yeah. You're welcome.
I made it
Thank
up.
you. We're going to talk about how you achieved this color first, or at some point. Look at that.
Oh, there's just
Ew.
hair. Doesn't belong on there.
Okay, so number one, well, before we go any further, I would like for the viewers to really appreciate what you're doing here, which is the Harry Dean Stanton hat. And don't think I ignored the shirt that's going along with it.
Yeah.
The floral print.
Yeah.
I mean, you've got a real almost cosplay going here.
That's what I was going for.
Yeah, and you achieved it.
This is
So,
what I wore to the actual theater too. So I
Nice.
just felt like it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So I need people to acknowledge that this is great. You look great.
Maybe in the works for Halloween. We'll see.
Yeah. Okay, so as far as my theater experience is concerned, actually pretty good. It was a theater. It was almost full, and everybody was really respectful.
Wow.
And there was some cheers in moments that we will get to. There was some laughs in moments. Some real. It felt like an old school movie going experience. I was really happy. We sat all the way in the back because most of the seats were kind of filled up. So we sat in the back for that reason, and also because I was like, I want to watch this. I can't deal with being around other people. The only thing that I will say about my actual physical experience was we got in, and there was a girl sitting next to us. She was like 3 seats down.
Okay.
And we got there a little late. We got some concessions.
Of course.
I had to sell one of my unborn children for it. And that's okay. I'll get them back. And so we skipped all the trailers.
Okay.
So I do know about the Alien Earth teaser.
Yeah.
I saw it, so it's not like I didn't miss anything.
Not everyone's getting that teaser, so look it up online if you haven't. If you're an Alien fan,
It ain't.
it's a teaser.
Yeah.
It's a teaser.
We get in, and I shit you not, she was asleep in the first 5 minutes of the movie.
Oh no.
And I look over. So it's Andy and I. We went together, and Andy's like, "Do you hear? She's snoring."
Oh no.
And I look over, and I mean, passed out, dude. Like slumped.
Yeah.
Like that picture of me at a record store day. Just like slumped, dude.
Yeah.
Passed
Yeah.
out. And I was like, they must have a Regal card or something.
Sure.
Because there's no way you spent the amount of money that they probably spent to watch the movie
Yeah.
just to get in and fall asleep during the
nap.
previews. She slept for the whole movie up until the third act,
Wow.
wherein she woke up and then started talking at the movie as if she had been watching the whole time. She woke up and she was like, "Bitch, don't go in there. What are you doing?" And I was like, there's no way you woke up and then started talking at the movie.
I mean, she was re-engaged and reinvigorated after that cat nap.
Cat nap for sure. So she slept for like an hour 45.
I mean, as long as she got there eventually. I mean,
Yeah.
sure, why not?
So, and I wasn't at that point when she woke up and started, like, I wasn't even annoyed because I was so enthralled with the movie. And then she woke up and was at least into
In
it.
it, yeah.
And I just thought it was hilarious that she did it. So,
yeah.
that was my
Good,
experience.
Good. Yeah, mine was pretty similar. As I told you off mic, there were some yappers ahead of us, but
Some Yappingtons.
fortunately, we had a shusher, and the shushing worked.
You need a shusher, man.
You really do, and I feel like it should be if nobody's shushing, that means you need to step up and be the shusher.
Yeah.
You know?
Somebody's got to do it. I'm sick of this.
I give a grace period. I give give them a couple seconds to settle in, sit down, get their loud bag of candy open, and then, we're good. Anything past that, and
if you couldn't tell, we're very clearly on the side of like, shut the fuck up when you go to the movie theater.
Yeah, focus.
Yeah.
It's okay.
Yeah, it's
if
fine.
you can't, don't go.
Don't go.
Or when you start feeling that ADHD kick in, go to the lobby.
Yeah.
Get on your phone.
Yeah.
Do what you got to do.
Yeah.
But not in the theater. Or sit all the way in the back if you're going to be on your phone.
Right.
At very least.
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys know this, but when your phone's on and you're in front of us, you can see it.
You can all see it.
It's horrible.
So we can spend this entire podcast.
It's not what it's about. I'm sorry. I'm sorry to immediately go into the negatives. But we have a lot of positive things to talk about.
Yes.
And one of those things is Alien Romulus.
Let's do it.
So, I'll give a brief intro. Alien Romulus, as we've discussed in the past, directed by Fede Álvarez, probably most famous for the Evil Dead remake and Don't Breathe. One especially. I don't think he directed two.
Yeah.
But anyway, he also co-wrote it with Rodo Sayagues, who also is the producer of Don't Breathe 1 and 2, and a few other movies. Stars Kaylee Spaney as Rain, David Johnson as Andy, Rain's brother / android.
I would really like to get into their relationship at some point.
I'm just going to read through the names so we have an idea. We have Archie Renault as Tyler, who is Rain's ex-boyfriend. Then we have Isabella Merced as Kay, who's Tyler's sister.
Right.
Spike, I don't know how to pronounce his last name, Fern or Fern, I'm not sure, is Bjorn, who's Tyler's cousin. And then Eileen Wu, who is Navarro, who is Bjorn's girlfriend. Okay? Setting the stage.
Okay.
A lot of this isn't super clear upon first watch because we're kind of thrown into the world.
Yeah.
But their relationships become more and more clear as the movie, plays out.
Yeah.
Anyway, I'm gonna go through my my spiel now. Okay.
All right. I'm gonna get comfortable while you do this.
I wrote some notes.
Okay.
So I don't get lost.
Yeah. Good.
Feel free to interject if I'm going off the reservation.
Okay.
You can't say that anymore. Sorry.
Wait. Why not?
It's apparently tropey for Native Americans.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh. Okay.
I never really knew the history of it, but
Me neither.
Apologies. Anyway, Weyland-Yutani scientists are exploring the remnants of the Nostromo. We see them discover what looks like a rock in space, and they take that in and dissect it, and we see that what was within it is apparently the alien from the original Alien film, the titular alien, if you will.
The alien.
Which is, we can assume been hibernating this entire time in space. Then we're introduced to Rain, who works for Weyland-Yutani. It is sort of explained that she and basically everyone in this area and maybe the entire planet are miners for Weyland-Yutani, and they have contracts that they have to kind of work their way out of in order to have the freedom to leave. So that is kind of the entire crux of why our central characters are going on this adventure in the first place. But I will get to that. So, Rain and her friends, the colony is called Jackson Star that they live in. They meet up and they have this plan to go to this space station that is just floating in space and is being sucked into the rings of the planet. Before it gets destroyed, they want to go up there, essentially kind of do a little bit of a heist. Not to get you too excited.
Yeah.
But
okay. Well, at first they thought it was a ship that they were going to take to the next system.
Right.
That was the initial thought.
Right.
They didn't know that it was a station yet.
Right. They just knew something was up there and it was drifting.
And it appeared to be a ship. And they were
Right.
like, we can take that ship and go to Uvaga, which is the next system over.
Right.
But it takes 9 years.
Yeah, which is a place that is essentially removed from Weyland-Yutani.
Yeah.
That they can run away to.
Basically like a refuge.
Yeah, it's like a safe haven.
Yeah.
For humans to live on. Anyway, so their idea is, since it will take so many years to go, they need to make sure there's cryostasis chambers on board in order to make the trip.
Right.
So they decide to go up there, check it out, and, do what they got to do. They get up there, they realize that it's a space station that is essentially like decommissioned and completely empty, except for the remnants of what looks like an attack.
Actually, one of my favorite words of all time, derelict. A derelict
space station.
I
yes.
love that.
Yeah. Very Dead Space,
Yeah.
actually.
Mm-hmm. I got a lot of Dead Space vibes from this.
For sure.
Yeah.
For sure. So yeah, they get up there and they realize it's a space station called both the Romulus and Remus. They're connected together, but they're two separate stations that are kind of fused together. Obviously they realize that's not a ship, but they decide to go ahead and investigate and see if they can get these cryostasis chambers.
Basically like escape pods.
Yeah, to be able to continue with their mission. While they're doing that, Tyler and I have to check my notes here.
Consult the notes.
Excuse me. I should say, while they're investigating, they discover an android that's been cut in half by what appears to be alien acid.
Mm-hmm.
And they get it back up, and it happens to be Ian Holm, the late Ian Holm from the original Alien, who played Ash in the original. But this is the same model, but a different character who's named Rook.
Yeah.
So they take Rook's chip. Nope, don't let me get there yet. What happened was Tyler and I forget the name of the other guy. Hold on. Tyler and Bjorn and Andy are investigating the ship and trying to get those cryo chambers. But in that room, they get locked in, and it turns out that room is full of facehuggers.
Yeah.
And they slowly start to thaw out, and they begin to attack. And so normally Andy can get through these locks, but he can't because he doesn't have the clearance.
Right.
So in order to get the clearance, they take Rook's chip, which is a Weyland-Yutani chip, that will give Andy access.
Right.
So
just let me interject 2 seconds.
Sure.
Just to kind of give context to the relationship here. Andy, they're like you said, they're like slow dripping context for who all these people are and how they relate to each other.
yeah.
And Andy is an android that was programmed to look after Rain.
By Rain's father,
right?
Who's dead now?
Who's dead? They're like seems to be all of their parents are dead.
Yeah.
And he is. I mean, the only way to describe it is like he's slow. He's like an old model.
Well, he was about to be decommissioned, and he was essentially saved and taken out of like the trash heap.
Yeah.
By Rain's father.
But for some reason, that makes him like someone with like a learning disability.
Yeah.
That's the way that he's framed.
He's very innocent.
Before you even like in the opening scene, before you know that he is a synthetic. I mean, they reveal that pretty quickly.
Yeah.
So,
He
but
gets beat
before
up by,
you
like,
know that,
10-year-olds.
yeah, you think he's like slow. You're just
Yeah.
like, okay, I don't really understand this characterization, but I guess there's a point to this.
Right.
And then he gets beat up by kids for,
because they hate synths.
yeah.
Yeah.
But why? I understand the one kid who they
Bjorn.
explain
Yeah,
later.
we
I
understand
get his
why-
understanding.
Yeah, because
but they don't.
Bjorn is a jerk to Andy the entire time.
He's just a jerk. Period. It's just
Yeah.
not a. He's just that guy that they're like, why are they making him so?
Right.
I'm not going to get into the. Let's just continue with the plot. But
Okay.
that is important because he's on the ship because he's the only one who can pass through these doors as a synthetic.
And Rain's friends essentially talk her into using Andy.
Yeah.
Because this is another plot thread, but they reveal that Andy would be decommissioned when they get to the new planet anyway. So,
and she is aware of this.
She's aware of this. They're using Andy. He's this innocent character who, is literally programmed to do everything that he can to protect and help Rain.
Right. His what do they call it? Directive. His directive.
Yes, his directive
is to do whatever is best for Rain.
Right. So anyway, Andy gets this new chip, suddenly becomes Jason Bourne, is whooping ass.
Accent changes and everything.
Yeah. He suddenly has this wealth of knowledge. And
the smarter you are, the more English you are, apparently. That's according to Fede Álvarez.
Yes. And, he has this dexterity. He's able to, kill some facehuggers, and they're able to make their way out of that chamber without getting face-hugged.
Yeah.
But
this chamber was filled with face-huggers who weren't just, there. They were being studied, it appears. They were in things that let you know, they captured them, and they were being studied. They weren't just crawling in the vents and stuff.
Yeah. They were it looked like in pods or something.
Yeah.
That the scientists were keeping to study.
Yeah.
So they're able to escape, but some of the face huggers get out of there.
Yeah.
And one of them latches onto Navarro.
Oh, I loved it.
It was awesome.
Such a good.
Yeah. So obviously they're like, uh-oh, what's going on? And they try, as they do in the first movie too, to get the facehugger off, but it's clearly going to kill her if
classic tightening on the throat.
Right. Then they kind of think of the idea of, what if we freeze it? Maybe that'll work.
Also, the same thought they had in the first one.
Yeah.
Why are they not freezing him? Oh, fuck.
Yeah. So, let's see. Yes. So they're able to get it off of her. They hope before the alien is implanted in her.
Right. And this is Rook telling them, you
don't want to deal with that.
And he's like, your chances basically are 60-40 aliens way.
Yeah.
That the facehugger did what it was going to do anyway.
Right. So they in a panic, Navarro runs back to the ship along with Bjorn. And meanwhile, the entire time, Kay she's pregnant. Forgot to mention that.
Little reveal there.
Yeah, she is still on the ship.
I don't know.
She isn't on the space station. She's still on the ship, just sleeping, not feeling well. But anyway, Bjorn and Navarro get into the ship. Pretty soon thereafter, Navarro starts chest bursting. And accidentally crashes their ship.
Well, okay, but so she runs back to the ship. Bjorn chases after her.
Yeah.
They are being chased by Andy, who is now an advanced, model, like you said, and he has analyzed the risk reward of letting her back on the ship, and he's like, she can't be let back on the ship.
We're not going to do that.
And she takes off. And then he chases after them, and then he cuts them off from the ship.
Yeah, and Tyler's like, is Andy trying to kill them?
And Rain's like, I don't know.
I have no idea.
I don't know what he's doing right now.
Couldn't say.
So that's when she's on their ship, and then she starts chest bursting. So they're back on the space station.
Yeah, they're still at the space station, locked in.
Andy's between them.
Right. And Navarro, they tease this a little bit, but has this X-ray scanner, like the flashlight thing. And, of course, it's kind of ruined by the trailer, but we see the chest burster in there bursting out. Very cool.
Yeah.
But, yeah, she ends up kicking the controls. And also a very impressive sequence.
Yeah.
Crashes into the space station. Eventually, by accident, gets into landing bay of sorts.
Yeah.
But yeah, she's dead. She's dead now, and the baby alien runs away as it does. Of course, Bjorn sees all this, is freaked out. He and Kay leave the ship and are, exploring their way around to figure out what they can do at this point, and come across what I can only call cocoon vagina.
Yeah, I mean, Andy and I both had the same thing, was like the alien pussy. The alien babussy.
Yes.
Like, it was so... I mean, my memory is a little foggy on if we've seen the cocoon before.
I don't think we ever have. I
But
think this is a new thing.
Yeah.
Well, and what I've heard from other people is obviously like headcanon speculation kind of stuff, but the movie's full of that, is that the only reason it had cocoon was because it was essentially a preemie baby. Because the facehugger didn't get enough time to incubate for long enough.
Interesting.
And
Never really
so,
thought about that.
Yeah, when it came out of her chest, it was like premature.
Yeah.
And needed more time to kind of cook.
Oh.
So,
Gross.
yeah, I mean that, or it's just something that's always happened that we haven't seen on screen. Because obviously we've seen like the skins of the alien as it grows.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is a completely new thing that, from my understanding. Anyway, Bjorn has the idea of sticking the shock rod up in there, and he ends up getting melted to death.
Yeah, that didn't work at all.
No.
And that scene's awesome.
No, he got squirted on by
Yeah.
the alien bussy.
Yeah.
And yeah, just slow melted.
Squirted on by the alien pussy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Slow melted to death, which is
Yeah.
a great sequence.
Really fucked up way to go.
Yeah. And so that leads to Kay running away as the alien comes out. Meanwhile, our other protagonists are with Andy, trying to make their way through this entire swarm of facehuggers. And they have this idea of upping the temperature to body temp essentially. And because the facehuggers don't see, they sense heat and movement and sound. So in that sequence, Tyler gets a call from Kay saying, "How do I get out of here? I need a key." And it's a very tense back and forth because she's screaming. Meanwhile, Tyler and Rain are trying to stay as quiet as possible. They go back and forth. Eventually, she finds the key, opens the door, runs away. And they end up meeting up at a door. Unfortunately, the alien is still following Kay.
Yeah.
Close behind.
Alien's
stalking
full
her.
grown now.
Full grown. We got a full grown alien.
Yeah.
And so Andy sees that the alien's just waiting for them to open the door.
Yeah.
And says, "I'm not going to open that door. I ain't going to do that.
Yeah.
That would risk everyone and also the mission
Yeah.
that I'm on."
And that is the first glimpse that we get of like his loss of quote unquote humanity,
His innocence.
and that his directive has changed.
Right. So, while they're kind of arguing with Andy and trying to like convince him to open the door, Kay gets swooped up by the
Swooped up.
alien, and they end up going with Andy deeper into the space station. They end up at this science lab, essentially.
Yeah.
And where they both get weapons and also a bit more lore and information about what this space station was here for in the first place.
Well, the reason they go down there is because Rook has changed his directive to do what's best for the company. That's
Correct.
what's revealed right after he doesn't open the door for Kay.
Right. And I think that's when Rain asks, "What is your directive now?"
Yeah, and he says
Cloud
what's
says,
best for the
"What's best
company. And that is why we are going deeper into the space station, because and then we get it revealed about all the stuff that's happening in there and why he needs to get that stuff out first
Right.
before he helps them.
Correct. So, this was a major surprise for me, at least. It turns out this station has some of the Prometheus black goo
Yeah.
on it. And
The Covenant / Prometheus goo.
Yeah, the goo, the famous goo.
The famous goo.
Which apparently Weyland-Yutani has been studying since Prometheus. And they are using it essentially as a way to try to make humans better at space travel. And, it kind of ties into the mining idea with these characters too, because all their parents are dead from getting sick in the mines or dying from explosions and whatnot, or cave-ins, I should say.
And they're using the tech that they feel like they're getting from the alien research to improve the human existence. I mean, Weyland's whole thing was immortality.
Right.
And
but it's also all for profit.
Yeah, absolutely. Just using so that people don't die.
They don't care about the workers. They just want to make sure the work continues to be done.
Right.
In the vacuum of space.
But the way that it's framed is that this is major advancements.
Yeah, it's like the
in
elixir
human
of life.
medicine. Yeah.
Yeah. So we see that in a lab rat that gets squished, which I laughed at.
Which was crazy. I had no idea that smash. And it was almost like stop motion, because it was the screen was kind of jittering, and it was like rat smash. I was like, wait, did it just crush it?
Yeah. But the black goo resurrects the alien. Reference. And so our characters are kind of like, oh, okay, I see why Andy is leading us here.
Yeah.
Then, of course, conveniently, when the characters leave, we see later on in that process of the rat that got smashed.
Yeah.
It explodes.
Yeah, and it also pans to the corpse of said rat.
Yeah,
and it's like half rat, half
mutant beast of some kind. I mean, which
seen. I don't know how they missed that when they were in the lab.
Sure. They're busy. They're distracted.
Right.
In a rush.
Mm-hmm. They watched the video of the rat, but didn't
finish it. Yeah. I should say they actually are in a rush, because we find out pretty much as soon as they get to the space station that it is slowly drifting into the rings of their planet.
Right. And then when when their ship crashed into it, it sped up
that process.
Yeah, right.
Extremely. They only have a couple hours or something.
So now we're on time crisis as well as alien crisis.
Yeah. Which is, how these films go.
But I like it. Raises the stakes.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I think it is a... it works. It works for this series, definitely.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, so, our three characters are now on their way to try to escape with the goo in hand now.
Goo in hand.
But then they come across an entire alien nest, it seems like. Apparently there's been enough time that these aliens have kind of, made their own little home. It slowly turns into the Hadley's Hope in Aliens, where, it's like its own nest.
Yeah, basically.
It turns into the alien structures and stuff, and all the tube-looking stuff and goo.
Mm-hmm.
We're also told by Andy, don't use your guns. Just hold on to them and hope that the aliens are kind of scared enough to not immediately kill you.
Right. Because we're on the bottom floor of the space station.
Right.
So if they bleed through,
right,
they will be sucked into the vacuum of space.
Exactly.
Convenient.
Right. And so, at that point, Tyler gets snatched up by an alien.
Yes.
And he dies. Andy gets knocked over.
Yeah.
Starts having convulsions.
Which they did earlier in the movie, so this was kind of like a the foreshadowing in the beginning, and he gets knocked over, and then he starts convulsing again.
Mm-hmm.
I was a little annoyed by that.
He needs a reboot.
Yeah, he needs a reboot.
Yeah. I should say at this point as well, they find Kay. She's not dead.
She's not dead.
She's just been taken by the alien, but she is mortally wounded.
But she hasn't been face hugged yet, and Andy surmises that it's because she is wounded.
Right.
That they haven't used. Yeah, her body is not viable.
Yeah.
For a face hug.
She got shanked by the alien.
Yeah.
So she's bleeding out essentially.
Which is interesting that the alien did that and then brought her back anyway, the other aliens were probably like, "What the fuck are you doing?
Wait, you said don't kill her?
What are we gonna do now?"
This guy.
Yeah.
Fucking
Fucking preemie, dude. Fucking preemie. You know, they don't fucking, you know what I'm saying?
He
Like,
didn't
what
have
is
enough time to cook.
Yeah. Why don't you go sit in the corner, you dumb fuck?
Still got a baby brain.
Little baby brain Bill over here.
Yeah.
Yeah, let us show you how it's done. And then here they come in the vents. Just, God, man. The alien many head tongue
Yeah.
kill always works.
Oh, yeah.
Smash right into a face or a skull.
It just punches right into
It just works
the
every
head.
time. And everything just turns into goo, blood, and broken skull. It's awesome.
It's good.
Yeah.
It's good stuff.
Works every time.
Yeah. But yeah, so now we have Andy convulsing. Rain and Kay are running to the elevator. They're able to escape. And then Rain gets this Catholic guilt and says, I gotta go back.
Gotta go back.
Gotta go back for Andy.
Gotta go back.
Gotta go back. And so she leaves Kay to go ahead and head straight to the ship. She's gonna be there in a minute. Don't worry about me. I'll be back. On the way, we see Kay, who is essentially dying at this point. They're trying to get her to the cryopod in time to freeze her so she can get back to the planet and get actual, care. But she's, in bad shape, and she makes the gamble and sticks herself with the goo.
Right.
And so we see that happen. Then we cut back to Rain, who goes back for Andy, talks to Andy for a minute and is like, hey, I got to take the chip out.
Yeah.
Okay?
Well, she says, I'll save you if you let me take the chip out.
Yeah.
Not that she has to. She could have just rebooted him. But she didn't want new Andy. So she was like, I'll take it out. Or I'm sorry, I'll reboot you if you let me take it out.
Yeah.
And then kind of basically professes her love for him. Not like, like a sibling love.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
I don't want to lose you, but I'm not going to like bring back old British Andy.
Right.
Andrew.
Yeah.
And he sees that and lets her do it.
Well, yeah. And there's, I actually had this conversation with Sherry, and it's smart because it leads to this place of like, you can see it either way. I saw it as more of like Andy allowed her to do it and was like, okay, this isn't worth losing my family for.
Yeah.
My new abilities and like,
Yeah.
being a badass now is not, and being really British is not worth it.
Yeah.
So go ahead and do it. But you could see it another way, because she does coerce in a way of saying like, this is what is best for the company. You surviving is what's best for the company. So you could see it as this sentimental thing, or you could see it as like, oh, she's smart and said the right words.
Yeah. Also, I mean, but there is the moment where he gets left and he starts crying, which I was always, I saw that and I was a little confused
Why
about
do you cry?
Like, yeah, exactly. Like synthetics. I'm wondering at their entire existence is very confusing and doesn't really get explained well enough in the entire series. Like, what model is Ash? What model is David? What model is Andy? What model is what's her name from 4?
Yeah,
Winona Ryder's character.
Yeah.
And how advanced are they? What kind of emotions do they feel? Because in Resurrection, for instance, like her whole thing was like leading a synthetic revolution.
Yeah.
Like she was very, very emotional. The reveal that she's a synthetic takes place in like the second half of the movie. So in the beginning, you don't even know. There's nothing that leads you to believe that she's a synthetic. And with Andy, once he gets his, gets his superpowers, his British powers, all of his emotion goes out the window. He just becomes a logic-brained synthetic.
Yeah.
But then when he goes down, he starts crying, and it's like, what emotion is he feeling at this point?
I think that leads us to know that he, and I mean, I think it's safe to say the vast majority of synthetics that have had enough human to synthetic relationships, are in this Blade Runner world where they are essentially human, or at least sentient, like they have their own emotions and feelings and soul. That's where that kind of question comes in.
Well, they don't have a soul.
Well,
we don't have a soul, Adam.
What is a soul?
Something synthetics don't have.
They have milk.
They bleed it and they drink it.
They drink it and they bleed it.
We don't. We don't sweat blood. Why do they drink milk and then sweat milk?
I don't know. I mean, I guess kind of makes sense. We drink water and sweat is water and
I guess that's true.
And salt.
Why milk?
That's a good question. I don't know.
Why milk?
It'd be more not as good as got milk, but it's fine.
It's a good it's the alien slogan. Why
milk?
And then it's just the xenomorph with a milk mustache.
Yes. Or Ash's head just decapitated.
Just covered in milk.
Yeah. That's a good question. But I think it does open up the idea that Andy is this sentient being that is conflicted and feels bad for, having to put Weyland-Yutani over his family.
Right. So she goes back, she reboots him.
Right. And we get another awesome sequence where she wrecks shop on the entire alien colony there.
Yeah.
With the auto-aim gun.
Very aliens.
But we're in a conundrum because, as was discussed by Smart Andy, the acid's melting, man. It's going right through the hull. Mm-hmm. So what are we going to do? So they turn off the gravity, and we now have these clouds of alien blood.
Yeah.
Well, they do that before they start shooting aliens.
Right. He has that thought
right
as they're coming after them.
Right. So they do this balletic move through the alien blood in 0G.
Yeah.
Very cool.
It's kind of...
Exactly. And eventually they get to the...
Right?
It's just like that. Very Looney Tunes.
Yeah.
Very Simpsons, yes. They get to the elevator shaft, but the elevator won't work without gravity. So they end up just kind of pushing themselves up the elevator shaft. However, they forgot that, and this was teased earlier in the movie, when the gravity is off, it still cycles gravity every once in a while.
Mm-hmm.
So they get the alert, gravity's about to start again. Meanwhile, the aliens are starting to come up that shaft, and we get this another cool suspenseful sequence where Andy saves Rain, and they eventually are able to, we have a controversial moment, I should say, where Andy says,
leave her alone.
Leave her alone, you bitch.
Bitch. You bitch.
And then we'll go back to that.
We got a lot to go back on.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
Yeah, don't even worry about that. We'll talk later about how this is gone.
It's been a while. Okay, long story short, they get back to the ship. Kay's there, and they escape from the now exploding Romulus and Remus. However, when they put Ray supposedly to sleep, she ain't going to sleep. She's giving birth.
Yeah. Okay.
And what she gives birth to is like this weird pod. She says, "Get this thing away from me."
Yeah.
Most mothers' response to seeing their baby for the first time.
Yeah.
It's revealed that in the pod it's like a humanoid-looking baby thing that melts into the cargo hold. Rain goes to investigate. Sees that the footprints get bigger and bigger, so this thing is growing at an exponential rate. Then we cut back to Kay, and we see for the first time this alien human engineer, maybe.
Yeah, it's
hybrid.
It's an engineer, humanoid, alien thing.
hybrid that is absolutely disgusting and freaky. Very tall, very lanky, very skinny, horrific looking. It ends up eating Kay. Rain tries to lure it back to the cargo hold to release the cargo hold. They fight. There's a jump scare. Eventually, the cargo hold goes down and gets into the rings underneath. It gets destroyed. In that battle, Andy gets injured, sliced up. But they're safe. Finally, they set coordinates to the planet.
Uvaga.
Yabrelvi, Ivaga. Yeah, and she essentially says like, I will fix you.
Yeah,
and puts him into cryosleep. She goes into cryosleep, and that is the end.
The end. There wasn't a post-credit sequence.
There was not.
There? Okay.
No.
Yeah. So, usually I Google it before I walk out, but I had to pee so bad. I ran out of there.
Yeah.
Abandoned Andy. Like they abandoned Andy.
Yeah.
What's funny is the movie, once they get back on the ship, I was like, there's got to be 5 to 10 minutes left of this movie. And I whispered to Andy, I was like, I gotta piss like a motherfucker. I think I'm just going to run and pee. And they were like, I don't know. I feel like there's one more act left.
And
I was
always
like,
is.
I don't know why in my brain. I've seen all these movies multiple times now. There is always a last act after what you think is the last act.
Yeah.
Always.
There's always
all
a
of
fake
them.
out.
There's a fake out.
Yeah.
And I don't know why. For some reason, I thought, well, this looks like it's about to end.
Well, that's nice and tidy.
Yeah.
It's a good way to end that film.
And that was right before they go into the pods and the humanoid is born or whatever. Yeah. So I was like, okay, I can hold it. And I was just rubbing my legs together like a fucking grasshopper. I was just okay. So we got to go all the way back to the beginning. Listen, if you guys are if you guys are listening, you can just skip that 25 minutes if you need to. If you haven't seen the movie and you
that's really rude.
Well, no, I'm just saying if you have seen the movie,
good job.
You did a good job. You were very concise. It's a 2-hour movie, and there was a lot that happened in the movie.
2+.
Yeah, so
over 2.
it's hard to succinctly give the
without
narrative
missing some substantial stuff.
So you did a good job. I'm not
you.
saying that was bad. I'm just saying if people have seen the movie and just want to hear our thoughts, you can skip that.
We'll put the timestamps. Don't worry. Don't worry. It's fine. It's fine.
Okay. So, back to the beginning.
Yeah.
How do you want to do this? Do you want to go best then worst? Start with worst?
I like to start with worst.
Okay.
So we can end on a
high note.
On a high note.
Okay. Yeah.
So this is not a film that has been universally praised. I feel like it's had a lot of
there's some detractors.
There are definitely some detractors. It's been
low 80s on ESPN on Rotten Tomatoes. So
right, very divisive is the word I was looking for. Very divisive film. Divisive. A lot of people love it. A lot of people say it's garbage. So, I will agree it's not a perfect film by any stretch. Yeah. But I did enjoy it. I just want to get that out there before I get into my nitpicks.
Okay.
So I think the biggest nitpick that a lot of people have is the fact that we're having another dead actor pushed into a Disney franchise unnecessarily.
Yeah.
There was no real need for the synth to be Ian Holm.
I'm going to be 100% honest with you, Chief.
Yeah.
Had no problem with it.
Okay.
In fact, when it was revealed that it was Ian Holm or whatever monstrosity they put together to bring him back to life, I was kind of excited about it. Here's the thing. This is kind of like when you watch a movie with a less critical eye, or when you engage with anything in a less critical way, sometimes you forget, like, oh, that's actually not a good thing. You know,
Sure.
like when a big company says, like, oh, we're going eco-friendly, and you're like, oh, that's awesome, we should applaud this company, and then you remember, like, well, they still have child labor or like child slaves.
Oh, they
creating
killed 10
their
kids
shoes
today,
and, like,
though.
yeah,
Whoops.
so it's like sometimes you lose track of that kind of stuff when something like is fun and cutesy and cool and is in your face. So when I when they revealed that, I was just I mean, I have to be honest, my true feelings were, oh, that's awesome.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then when I looked it up later, and his estate was cool with it, and
Yeah.
Fede Álvarez had a lot of respect for, they wanted to bring him back in a respectful way, and they wanted people, they were like, a lot of androids have been brought back, a lot of actors have been brought back,
Sure.
a lot of references to other people have happened, but no respect to Ian Holm and Ash's character.
That's another thing too. Is I saw that Ian Holm apparently felt kind of like Hollywood kind of turned their back on him a bit. Obviously, he was in like Lord of the Rings too.
Yeah.
Which is cool. But
he was like, I read the same thing, and
Yeah.
he was like, I would have loved to do more shit.
Yeah.
Like more alien stuff or
Right.
like anything, and like just didn't get the call. In the past, like, for the last, 10, 15 years of his life, he just didn't get that call.
Yeah.
And I don't know, man. I know that the other thing is I just didn't even make the connection that Disney now owns this property.
Sure.
And that may be a Disney decision. And so I just wasn't thinking about it in such a cynical way, although that may be the truth.
Right. Well, and that's not what Fede says. Fede says that it was totally his choice and like was part of his story, and he wanted it to be specifically Ian Holm's character.
Well, and how can you, at this point, it's hard to trust any, Hollywood filmmaker, producer, studio, whatever. But it's like, I mean, sometimes how else can you take something? You have to be able to take certain things at face value. If the director and the guy who's helming the
face
movie
value.
at face hugger value, what else? I mean, the only other way to look at it is to be super cynical and say, like, Disney as an entity stepped in and was like, we
Bring
need
back
to
the dead.
And that just to me sounds like really, Disney's not a good company.
Sure.
We've already established this by how they were going to waive litigation using their Disney Plus. 7-day trial. So
Yeah.
I am not defending Disney by any means.
Right.
But the idea that the studio heads were like, now that we own this property, let's bring back dead guys. I don't know. I just feel like,
Well, it's not like Ian Holm was this like,
he's not a fan favorite. He was really cool in the first one.
or a huge star. You
Yeah,
know?
so it just seems like it's like it was a fun cameo, but they could have done that with anyone else. They could have like done, there was a lot of choices made there that just seems like, I will say it is cheap fan service.
Yeah.
That I will agree with.
That was after I came home and read up on it a bit. I did feel better about it. And it honestly, again, this is a nitpick. It didn't bother me. It didn't take me out of the movie. When they go full on face and it's like, oh, when he's talking, that doesn't look good.
Yeah, that looked a little weird.
That took me out of the movie a bit, But
also he's a synthetic, so with him looking jarring and kind of unhumanly.
I agree. But I would have preferred if they didn't do CGI at all.
Yeah.
And it was because they did have an actual animatronic head.
Yeah.
Keep it all animatronic.
Yeah, that
Don't
would have been
even-
cool.
Especially because Fede Álvarez is out here saying like, oh, we did everything practical we could.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, but in the like, you are almost immediately smacked with that fake ass face.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I get hung up on this.
I know.
It wasn't as bad as Rogue One.
As old rubber face
and
Moff.
Yeah, Grand Moff Tarkin. But
Grand rubber face Tarkin.
old rubber face. But still, like, I just wish there would have been a little more restraint.
Yeah.
And not immediately have full brightness rubber face.
Yeah, and maybe that was a studio decision. Maybe they saw the first cut and was like, "This is all animatronics," and we're like, well, we can use our de-aging technology that we used on Luke Skywalker and just slap that on there.
Yeah.
I could see that being a studio decision.
Boys got to work.
Yeah, I mean, look at them back there, and it's just a bunch of people in chains, just like
they're waiting,
strapped to the computer.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that was one for me. The other one was the cheap fan service of "Get Away From Her, You Bitch," which didn't bother me as much as other people because they did sort of set it up because Andy clearly heard other people saying "bitch." I just wish they would have maybe hinted at it a little more in the middle to make it make more sense, because it's like, why are we doing "I'll be back"? You know, like it makes no sense for him to say that.
Yeah,
it doesn't.
Yeah.
So that bothered me a good deal. It took me out of it.
Also, for the record, it doesn't make sense for him to say it in T2 as well, because he doesn't know that the first one said it, so it doesn't really make any sense that he says it in the second one.
Right. Yeah. So
the "come with we if you want to live" thing, that makes more sense.
Yeah.
But anyway, this is not a T2 review.
No. That and the I can't lie about your chances, but you have my sympathies. That even less so bothered me because it's a synth, and you figure they're programmed with certain dialogues, right? So that kind of makes sense, but at the same time, I was a little like,
honestly, that one bothered me more than "Leave Her Alone, You Bitch," because in the first movie, it struck me that Ash was
breaking
tasked with basically he was tasked with getting the alien back safe. Once he's discovered and he has to fight with Ripley, he starts to malfunction, right? They beat the shit out of him, destroy him basically, then bring him back to life to ask him about it. At that point, who knows? His wires are all crossed, he's all fucked up.
Literally.
And then the stuff that he says and does, even prior to that, is very like malicious and kind of like mischievous and nefarious. Yeah. That last line before they turn him off really characterized him as not just doing what's best for the company, but having a disdain for the humans that he's working with, that Ridley Scott, I believe, uses David later on to kind of hone in on the point that the synthetics, once they're built, once they have sentience, are like, I'm better than these people that I work for, but I'm programmed to work for them. You know what I'm saying?
Which is exactly what the entire point of Blade Runner series is.
Right. So going back to Rook saying the line again, I don't know. We have no characterization for Rook other than what he's helped them do, and he seems like okay. So is the implication that every Ash model, whatever that model, let's say model 200, every model 200 is kind of a dick, or was Ash kind of separate from all the other models at being dickish.
Yeah.
And Rook is or I guess the implication is that model, all of them were programmed the same way.
Well, the way
to be dicks.
Yeah, right. Well, the way that I kind of, well, first of all, you're right. That line in the first Alien movie, I find to be one of the scariest moments of the movie.
It is so upsetting.
Chilling.
Yeah.
Chilling. Because you feel like he means it.
Absolutely.
And he's like, I'm sorry you guys have to go through this.
Yeah.
But
also,
you're gonna.
Fuck yeah.
But that's the thing, too, is like,
shit happens.
He was a conniving little weasel the entire time.
Yeah.
And you realize that after it's unveiled that, he's programmed to focus on the alien above all else.
When he lets them back onto the ship in the first one, you're like, oh, Ash is a dick.
Yeah, why would you do that?
Yeah. And then later on, you're like, oh. The synthetic's a dick.
Yeah. But I feel like it does, with this movie, open up... Well, actually, first of all, let me say, I feel like Ash, once he's dismembered, is actually kind in a way, and open, and like only telling the truth in that moment.
Right.
Again, he breaks the kayfabe of him being sneaky because he knows he's done for. Like, there's nothing else to lose.
Completely honest.
It reminds me of like in an action movie or a drama when like one of the villains is shot and he's dying, he's bleeding
Right.
out, and the hero's there talking to him.
Yeah.
Like,
And it's almost like that moment of connection
yeah.
where he's like, if things were different, we'd probably be friends.
Right. It's very Heat.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just I feel like it does cheapen it by having Rook say it.
Yeah.
But also it brings up a good question that I just thought of, which is, kind of what is it? Is it the programming, or is it the nature versus nurture of these androids that makes them who they are?
Well, I think that is something that isn't, and I think maybe that's a failure on Ridley Scott's part, that he doesn't really, as far as I know, and I could be, maybe there's things that allude to this that I'm not aware of, but as far as I know, they're not learning computers like in Terminator,
right,
or Blade Runner. They're not learning to be better at being humans. They are what they are, and their understanding of the world is programmed in their artificial intelligence.
Well, in the first one, they call them robots.
Right,
So,
right.
That shows where his mind was at with what they were at
Right.
the time.
So I don't think there's any allusion to... I mean, David and Prometheus grows more and more disdainful with Weyland and with the crew, and in Covenant especially, he's like, I'm God. I deserve, I am a perfect being. But I don't think that there's nothing that alludes to the fact that they're like learning computers. Like, why would they? You would think that David, unless he's just an evil person at this point, like, they don't seem to gain any more humanity.
I think David is kind of a freak of this entire thing.
Well, yeah, and they do say that David. I'm just remembering this now because in Covenant, there's another Fassbender.
Yeah.
And he does say to him, like, you guys were prone to malfunctions,
What's wrong
and they
with you, man?
reprogrammed us. Yeah. So are we to believe that a quote-unquote malfunction is them gaining more sentience and more humanity
Yes.
and more...
And they mentioned that, actually, now that I think about it, in Romulus about the Ash model. They say, oh, yeah, those are prone to malfunction.
Right. Okay, so, all right, never mind. Okay, so that is kind of the explanation there. Like, the ones that malfunction, it's not really a malfunction. It's them learning
Gaining
and
sentience.
Yeah. Okay, cool. I can rock with that.
Yeah.
I can rock with that.
Okay. Problem solved. How about you? What were some of your nitpicks, if you had any?
I did. I think the biggest thing that struck me was, and this is not to say that any of the actors and actresses didn't do a good job. I think they all were spectacular, but I think they were very, very undercooked. All of them were very, very undercooked,
As far as, like,
underrealized
characters?
As far as characterization, I just didn't feel anything for them because I didn't know them. I don't know why I'm supposed to give a fuck about any of these people. Their relationships to each other are kind of slow dripped out, and it's like, in a movie like this, this isn't like a human drama,
Right.
or a relationship movie, or like, we don't have time for you to tell me 45 minutes in that you're pregnant, or that you two don't like each other for X reason, or that you two were former lovers, or whatever. The beauty of the first Alien movie, and I talked about this with Andy like almost immediately, the beauty of the first movie is what happens quickly, efficiently, and well done.
Yeah.
When they awaken from those pods and they have that breakfast scene,
It's the perfect organism.
It really is.
Yeah.
You get everything that you need. You know who's what. You know who's the who's in charge. You know that they all are kind of like these shit talking. Don't give a fuck. Like, I just want my money, guys. You know who feels what about the company and about what they're doing there. You get the science officers. You get everything in this very perfect, like, 5 to 10 minute scene.
I would say Aliens is also very good at that too.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
The
Marines.
structuring them, like getting to know them in a quick, like, this guy talks shit. This guy is a commanding officer. This guy's going to take orders, but you can kind of see the little, like, I know this is a bad order, but I'm going to take it anyway because I'm in the military kind of deal. All of them are very quickly and well established.
Yeah.
And this one, like, it just happens so fast, and they don't. I just like Rain and Andy's relationship could be a sibling relationship. At first, it feels like she's like his caretaker.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Then you find out that not only is she not, but he's a synthetic, and that she refers to him as her sibling when very clearly they're not siblings. He's a synthetic. You get the one kid who fucking hates his guts for no reason. Then you find out later why. Her relationship with Tyler is super they just do this little handhold thing, and you're like, okay, are they together? Are they exes? Why are they exes? That's never. Well, it's just like
the
these
question about who's the father of Kay's kid, because then she says like, oh, an asshole is the dad,
and then the implication is that it's homeboy,
which is her cousin, by the way,
right? And that's like, really weird. I didn't get that.
Is it like the bear kind of cousin? Like they're just friends, like family friends,
right? Right. So that I just so I think that they were bad protagonists because it didn't really. Andy was, I mean, the guy who plays Andy and Andy's characterization was really well done. I thought Rain was great. I think she was a great leading lady for this movie. But
Kaylee Spaney's been on a run.
Yeah.
For the past couple of years, yeah.
Outside of those two, I just wasn't really convinced by anybody else. And so it took me out of the movie a little bit because I was just like, when they got, I was like, hell yeah. It was like sick. I wasn't upset about it.
To be fair, it is kind of a slasher movie in space, you know? So,
I agree with that, but I just feel like the past movies have kind of set a precedent that when some of these characters get got, it sucks.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh no. Like, you know they're gonna.
Sure.
But I feel like they do a better job of establishing who we're supposed to care about, who are the... Even Alien and Aliens does that perfectly with the Marines. You know who you like. You know who kind of sucks.
Oh, the new commander, where, like, he has that kind of turn where it's like, you know what? He came around.
Yeah. But in the beginning, you're kind of like, oh, fuck him. Yeah, he sucks. The guy who works for the Weyland Company is kind of a weasel.
Yeah.
But in the beginning, you're kind of like, does he? Like, you know, he calls her kiddo, and you're like, how long have they known each other? Like, what's this relationship
I had
about?
the pleasure of watching these two movies for Sherry's first time. She had no idea.
Yeah.
And she kept saying... it's the Paul Reiser character.
Yeah.
She kept saying, "Are they gonna like be a thing?" Like
it seemed like it a little bit. At least it seemed like he was into her.
Yeah. Like there's a little bit of like playfulness, and you know.
Yeah. Well, he seemed like kind of a weasel.
Yeah. She said, "I never liked them."
Even in the beginning,
and you shouldn't have.
Yeah. So there was, I don't know. It's just like they were. I don't think well established enough. So that kind of took me out of the movie.
Sure.
Other nitpicks. I mean, the fan service stuff, taken scene by scene, was fun. If you take the movie, if you take like a larger view and you look at the movie as a whole, I get that.
Yeah.
And I think maybe on rewatch, it probably would annoy me more. I mean, like I said, honestly, in the moment, it didn't bother me. But thinking about it now,
yeah,
it is a little weird for these characters. It just was outside of their character to do these things, and it was very clearly a wink to us, which is like, it kind of feels like biting the hand that feeds you a little bit. Like, he clearly loves the series and he did it for us as fans, but then you kind of have to go, hey man, we don't need that. We just need a well done story, which all of this worked.
Yeah.
All of the rest of this is good.
Sure. And that's why it
so we didn't
stands
need
out
that
so much. And also in the context of, you know, this movie is set between two all-time classics. Alien and Aliens. It's right smack dab in the middle of those two movies.
Yeah.
When you're when you are actively being compared to two of some of the greatest filmmakers of all time,
Yeah.
and those guys don't feel the need to wink and nod at the audience,
Yeah.
it cheapens your film in a way that is completely it is so avoidable, so incredibly avoidable. I understand Fede Álvarez has such a deep respect and is such a big fan of this series, but you can make a film that's reverent without having those cheap references.
Yeah.
And I just wish we were in a place in, blockbuster cinema that the director would have more confidence in the audience to have an applause moment, to have a scream, or to feel for these characters without having to artificially inject them with taglines.
Artificially.
Yeah, it just feels so cheap to me.
I mean, even when Andy kills the alien, he could have just been like, leave her alone, and that would have made sense because he's protecting her.
Exactly.
The "you bitch" part is like, that's the kind of wink and like, I get it. But if he had just done that, it is well within his characterization to be like, leave her alone.
Yeah. And like he learned to have some backbone or something,
that all makes sense.
Character development.
Yeah. Fede Álvarez, though, maybe it's a weakness as a filmmaker from him, because if you think about all his like big commercial movies, like it's Evil Dead, Don't Breathe, and that's two movies that are established IP
Franchise, yeah.
that he is jumping into, and not for nothing, but he made a lot of references to the original Evil Dead when he made Evil Dead.
But
so
it works better with that because Evil Dead is inherently comedic leaning.
Yeah, it is a kind of hokey.
Even though his version of it is completely dead serious.
Very just fucking disturbing. But I'm just saying, like, as a filmmaker, maybe he just leans into shit like that.
Yeah.
So it's it's just something that you're probably gonna have to, if he continues to do movies within established IPs, he's gonna keep doing shit like that.
That's fair.
That's just kind of that's his MO basically.
And honest, to be clear right now, my audience popped for.
Let me be clear.
Let me be queer. For they went crazy for.
We did too.
For the taglines,
dude. When he said it, when he says "Leave her alone, you bitch," there was applause.
Yeah, that's what happened in my theater too. Yeah.
So
all right, yeah, that's fine.
So that's the thing, though, man. I think that's the difference between like film Twitter and real people. You can thumb your nose up at actual human beings that leave their homes and go to the theater, but film Twitter, there is a disconnect. There is a clear disconnect between the nerds who post on Twitter and talk shit about normies all the time, and then the normal people who are like, I've seen that movie, this is a sequel to that movie, and they made a reference to that thing. That was fun.
Or I heard of Alien before.
Yeah.
Let me go see this.
And they just go and see it, and they're like, oh, that was fun that happened. That was cool. It's like, I don't know, man. I think that line in the sand is getting wider and wider.
Sure.
And I don't know if it's good that there's like this huge. There's always been film nerds, obviously. There's always been pretentious people. I mean, since the dawn of time, there's been people who go to film school and then think they're better than everybody else. I'm not saying that this. I'm not saying that this is a new concept. I'm just saying Twitter definitely, and the internet has definitely created a larger and louder voice of people
Definitely
who
louder.
are like, you are not as good as me because you didn't watch this movie the way that I watched it.
That's
and you're not
Letterboxd, baby.
angry. Yeah, exactly. So, I don't know. It's hard for me. I mean, I had such a good time watching the movie. I just, there are things that are kind of egregious. And the stuff that we mentioned, it is worth mentioning because it's stuff that sticks out.
But I'll say it only sticks out because the rest of the movie is so solid.
Yeah.
So let's move on to the positives. If you don't mind, I will list mine.
Okay. Please do.
So first of all, production design. Incredible.
Incredible.
Especially for the budget. This was like a moderately budgeted Hollywood movie. It wasn't this like big Marvel level film. It didn't get that much money.
Yeah.
But based on what they had, they they did the thing. You know,
Yeah.
it looks so good. All the practical sets and stuff, you can tell it looks real. It's not this green screen BS.
Yeah.
It looks real. It feels real, and it really helped to solidify the Romulus as like a real place that you could kind of map out in your head. Another way that it kind of felt like a video game, because it's like, oh, I can kind of see, okay, we're going down now. Oh, we're going back up. We're going back to the ship. There's an elevator here. Okay, yeah, that makes sense. You know, like it all felt very real, and I appreciated that. The early world building of Jackson Star, their hometown. I almost wish we had more time to like kind of hang out there.
Yes,
Because
absolutely.
everything there felt really interesting and cool, and characterized Weyland-Yutani in a way that it wasn't before. And I actually saw this tweet that resonated, which was like, all those characters were already dead before they went on the Romulus.
Right.
Because there was no way for them to get from under the foot of Weyland-Yutani.
Right.
You know? And we see that because, you know, Rain's contract gets extended even though she did her time already.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, this makes perfect sense to why these characters would feel the desperation to get away.
Right.
You know?
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, to the point of characterization, if we had spent like another 10 minutes on all of these characters, just to kind of establish a little bit more, you know, their relationships and everything, might have, you know, gone a long way towards making them more fully realized.
Yeah. And I love the idea that the planet, or at least where they're at, doesn't have any sunlight.
Yeah.
Like, that's really cool and really dark. Really dark. But I like that concept of the desperation that people find themselves in, that put them in these extreme circumstances and push them to make those horror movie mistakes that ordinary people wouldn't.
Yeah.
You know? So that's another one. And then also, finally, my last one is that I really enjoy the Fede Álvarez-ness of specifically the end of the movie with the weird fusion alien baby thing.
Yeah. Have you read up on that, by the way?
No, I haven't.
You want some fun backstory on that?
Sure.
That's a real dude.
Really?
That's a real kid. He's 7'7". He's a basketball player from I forgot where, but he's a real person, and so that his kind of lanky gait is because he's a young guy who just ballooned in size.
Sure.
And you know, that's obviously all makeup and stuff. He looks like a relatively normal kid in the face or whatever, but his gait and like his limbs and everything, that was him.
Yeah.
That's a real person.
Yeah. And I think the fact that it was a real guy with those kind of dimensions made it so much scarier.
Yeah.
Because it was one of those things that, like, I immediately was like, Sherry can attest to this. She looked at me when you first see him, and I was smiling.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, I've never seen that before.
Yeah. That's
cool.
Hold on, I'm gonna look him up because I want people to be able to
to find him.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I don't like that specific scene, and some of the more extreme like effects and stuff really seem like a signature Fede Álvarez thing. Because a lot of his movies seem to have no boundaries when it comes to freakouts and stuff like that. So, yeah, I thought that was really, really effective and kind of put his fingerprint on the movie that may not have otherwise had such an interesting end to it. I didn't see that coming.
Yeah, me neither. I was so shocked by that.
And like literally the audience went,
yeah, dude. I mean, having the baby was one thing. That was clear. That was foreshadowed.
Sure, yeah.
The second she holds her stomach and she's like, I'm pregnant, Andy and I looked at each other and was like,
uh-oh,
here the fuck we go with this shit. So we knew something was going to happen with that. But to do it that way, not for nothing. Are you done? Can I?
I'm done. I'm done. That was my last.
My first thing that I loved about this was its references to the first four, all of the movies before.
Them, yeah.
The humanoid, a reference to Resurrection. There was that cute Alien 3 moment where the preemie alien gets really close to Rain's face and is about to kill her, and then the fucking elevator shaft hits her, hits it or whatever, and then it like hides behind the thing, and I was like, I was so juiced, dude. I was so juiced in that third half of that back half of the movie,
And that's references done right.
Exactly. The guns, the pulse rifles, all of the military-esque elements, aliens, obviously, and then pretty much everything else is alien reference. So I did love the references to Prometheus, the black goo of Prometheus, and I don't know if you I'm sure you caught this. Every time that they make a reference to one of the older movies, there's that swell of the score from that movie.
Yeah.
And I was like, ooh, send a shiver down my spine.
Once I saw the black goo and they did that, I was like, they're referencing Prometheus.
Yeah,
what are we doing here? Wow.
Loved it. Loved that shit.
Yeah.
Before I continue, I can't pronounce his name. He's Romanian. Robert Bozrotsky. Bob Rotsky. Bobrozkyi. Robert Bozrotsky, I believe is how you pronounce that.
Seems about right, yeah.
7'7" Romanian basketball player. So, yeah. I just thought that was really cool to, like you said, it was such a disturbing thing to do, so off-putting. And then for it to actually be like a real person makes it even more upsetting.
Yeah.
All due respect to Robert Bob.
Bob. Yeah.
Bob.
Bob Rotsky.
Bob Rotsky. Thought that was amazing. The references to the movies prior was I thought a highlight. The production design, I'm gonna agree with you on that one. That was like it felt like there was moments in the movie that it felt like, I feel like Fede's even taking references from Alien Isolation. There was parts of the ship that I thought like, it kind of looks like the video game a little bit. And you're right. The way that it's structured makes sense. And in your brain, if you can put yourself there, you can kind of see it. When they go into the room with the face huggers, they come back out and they have to go around the other side to the hallway. You can just see it. You can see it in your mind's eye.
Yeah, it feels like they're skirting around the edge of the space station.
Right. And it all, and when it makes sense in your brain, it's honestly even more claustrophobic and scary, because like you can feel it, but it's not as abstract to your brain to try to visualize, like, because when you take a moment to go, like, where are they now? What are they doing?
How'd they get there?
Yeah, then that question happens often, where you're like, how'd they get here? Happens a lot in Marvel movies, where you're like, oh, I guess they're on another planet now. Did that take like half an hour? How are we here now? The face hugger chase scene was, I mean, some of the best stuff I've seen in Aliens. In the Alien franchise. And I've seen the detractors who are like, this movie's not that good, but here's face huggers. Boo, boo, boo. And it's like,
the first Alien had one face hugger. What if we had 1,000,000? That means it's better.
Yeah, and that attitude, I mean,
you're just wanting to dislike the movie.
Exactly, because it's not like they just procreated by themselves. They were very clearly there studying them.
Yes.
This is everything. If you didn't like it, fine, but don't make it seem like this was just like some woke Disney idea that came out of nowhere. It makes sense in the movie. What's happening and what's taking place makes sense.
Yeah.
When they get out of there, the first face hug, well, I guess the only face hug, was awesome. Mm-hmm. You think, wow, these kids are like, they're fighting them off. They're going to get out of there. That's great.
I want to say, I was thinking exactly of our conversation about, I mean, it seems like a face hugger would be pretty easy to fight off. Like,
yeah.
And then as they're doing it, I'm like,
yeah, exactly. Like, dude, I had the same thought while they were fighting them off. I was like, that's how you fight them off.
There you go.
You keep your senses about you. You get a big stick. You keep fucking,
keep it away from your face. You're fine.
And it worked. And until Homegirl, and the reason she got face hugs because she didn't know what the fuck was going on.
Yeah.
So she takes off, tries to run, and pow! pow, snatched up, and I was like, oh, yes. The body horror gore of this movie, I thought was fantastic.
Yeah.
Fede Álvarez has already proven himself adept at doing things like that. And the biggest reason I was excited that he was helming this is because of that aspect alone. Sure. I thought Aliens is ripe for more kind of fucked up body horror stuff. They kind of, there's been moments in all of the movies where they lean into doing some weird shit or some body horror shit. Obviously, the first one is revolutionary in what they do with it.
Sure.
But I think he really kind of captures the idea of the life cycle of aliens being so fucking
gross.
And
life is gross.
Especially that scene where you talked about it earlier, where she uses the X-ray wand, and we get to see her bones breaking, her chest literally bursting. I mean, I was just like, this is exactly what I wanted from this, and I'm so happy that he did all that.
Yeah.
That was great. The alien designs,
classic.
I think H.R. Geiger. I've talked about it before. I think it's a masterpiece of invention and design, and staying faithful to that.
Yeah.
Not trying to do anything weird with that. Not trying to do anything off the beaten path. I thought the aliens looked great. They were just as scary as they've always been.
Agreed.
Yeah. And special shout out to the dude that plays Andy. I thought he was the MVP as far as the cast is concerned. I thought he was incredible.
I wanted to bring that up too. Actually, his name's David Johnson. I think.
Is he the dude from Snowfall?
I don't know.
Let me look
that
this
up. Yeah, David Johnson, Jonsson as Andy. Yeah, I think Kaylee Spaney and David Johnson are the clear stars of this.
No,
everyone else did a good job too.
Other British stuff. So I guess wait. Hold on, give me a second. He's been in
Yeah, none of them are
He's on an HBO show called Industry. Big movie was Rye Lane. So, no. Okay. He's not the dude from Snowfall. Hold on.
You're going to look up the dude from Snowfall?
Yeah, because he's also British. Damson Idris. Sorry. He's a British Nigerian actor. He's the star of Snowfall.
Sorry, Damson.
Yeah. Yeah.
What are you going to do?
What are you going to do?
But yeah, no, I think they were, especially those two, were really great. And a lot of people are shouting out Katie's actress, Isabel Merced, as well, as being primed to be a...
Kay?
Yeah. To be a scream queen.
Yeah.
Moving forward.
Yeah, she was great as a victim.
I mean, that's basically all she was the entire movie.
But that's why I didn't really like her, because that I didn't like her. It was necessary. She needed it. But, her entire thing was she just was there to be a victim.
Yeah.
I don't know. I kind of wanted her to wanted her to have more to do than to just be victimized.
Yeah, that's
the
fair.
whole movie. So when it happened, like I said, as soon as she says she's pregnant, it's okay,
here we
she
go.
ain't making it.
Here we go. Yeah.
And then when you cut back to her and the humanoid xenomorph is sucking her blood, that part was really fucking crazy.
Yeah.
But
I thought for a second she would be spared by it.
Because I thought it was gonna do a mama thing from Resurrection.
Right.
And it did not do that.
No. Certainly not.
Yeah. I love that all the movies are it doesn't matter what happens. This movie could be 3 hours long, but at the very end, the alien is getting sucked into the vacuum of space.
Yeah.
It's the movie is that happens, and then you write it backwards.
Yeah.
The alien's getting sucked into the vacuum of space. Figure the rest out.
Before then.
You have 6 months to write a script that gets us to this point.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
Figure it out.
Yeah. So I think that kind of caps off our thoughts on the movie itself, but I would like to get a review from you out of 6 bottle caps, as we do.
Out of 6 bottle caps. Well, the thing is, Is it as good as Alien and Aliens? No. So it can't be 6 out of 6. Is it better than pretty much the rest of the series? Yes. I'm going to give it a 5 out of 6.
Okay. That's exactly where I was thinking too.
Yeah.
So, I want to end with our collective ranking of the series since you've brought it up. Let me tell you where I'm at, okay?
Okay.
I think Alien, as we discussed, is a 6 out of 6.
Yeah.
I think Aliens fluctuates from 6 to 5.5. I'm going to say 5.5 just for rankings. So I'm going to say Alien is number 1.
Well, what pulls it back?
Well, the fact that I feel like it doesn't age as well, and honestly, and it's hard to hold this against the film itself, but the fact that it's such the prototype for so many other sci-fi movies and games that we've gotten, that it almost comes off as like cliche, even though it's not. Like it is the prototype for a lot of this stuff, the Colonial Marines and all this stuff. But it just doesn't age as well as Alien. So I think that has to knock it down a little bit. And also the fact that there is such a discrepancy between the original cut and the extended edition.
Yeah.
That gives, more breathing room, but also some people don't like that version because it is longer. And if you're watching an action thriller, you want it to be kind of tight. But then we miss out everything about Hadley's Hope and Newt's family and all this stuff
and Ridley's family
and Ripley's family. Yeah, Ripley's family. So that gives you so much context. So I feel like it is. I think it is just that half point lesser than the original Alien. How do you feel about that?
I agree with your logic, but I do disagree with your score. I think they're 1A and 1B to me. I think they're both 6s. I think Aliens. I think that Aliens is having a different conversation.
Oh, it certainly is. Yeah.
And so, to me, as far as the military industrial complex, as far as big mega corporations, as far as government agencies sending unknowing agents of the government off to die, really.
To the slaughter.
They know it. The government agencies know it, and
Yeah.
they have these ulterior motives, and they send these people off. And to them, to these people, to these Marines, these military folk,
and the people of Hadley's Hope,
they believe that what they're doing is good. They believe that there is a positive motive. They believe that they're bettering humanity in their own way.
or it's just their job.
Or it's just their job. Yeah. I think that the Marines and aliens believe that there is a purpose for what they're doing. That they're there.
They're protecting people.
Yeah. And that's their whole. I mean, most we're both military kids. We know people in the military. They all at the core of what they believe is that this is for the betterment of my country. A lot of people feel that it's just their job and that they're bettering their family.
Sure.
But they all believe in something. There's not a lot of like military people who are just like, bleh. There is something there. They're bettering something, right?
They have a purpose.
The corporations that send these people off to die are there to make profit.
Yeah.
Right? I think Aliens, underneath all of the bombast and the awesomeness of a James Cameron movie, is having that conversation.
Sure. Yeah, no, definitely.
And I think that part ages extraordinarily well.
Of course, yeah.
I do agree with you, though, that there are other aspects of the movie that don't age well at all.
Yeah.
So you could take points away, but I do think that it's good enough to just stay at a 6.
Well, we have to do 1 and 2. So
yeah,
Alien 1.
Alien 1
is number 1
because I don't have any discrepancies or arguments with Alien.
Aliens is number 2. This is where it gets interesting, though.
Okay.
So on the count of 3, let's say what our 3 is. All right? You got it?
Yeah.
Okay. 1, 2, 3. Prometheus.
It is. I mean, it just has a special place in my heart, man.
Listen, I gotta tell you, I've been rewatching it, and it, especially after watching Romulus, so much better than I remember.
It is.
It's really good. It's really, really good.
I've been seeing people talking shit about it, like Ridley Scott tried too hard to explain, the space jockey and the origins of all this stuff,
Sure.
and I'm just like, I disagree, man. I think what he tried to do, and especially if you watch like the cut scenes, and you do the deep dive on the lore like I did, there is a lot of shit that Ridley Scott was trying to do with that.
Yeah.
That the theatrical release may not work as well, but the actual movie, like the director's cut that he wanted to do, he's doing some real fun stuff, some real interesting, really thought-provoking shit in Prometheus.
And again, in watching it right after watching Romulus, there is something to Ridley Scott's vision. Mm-hmm. And the original guy getting back at it and not feeling like he needs to be even reverential to his own creation.
Because until the xenomorph happens at the very end of the movie,
which isn't even a xenomorph, it's a what they call it,
a neomorph. No, the
bishop or something, or a
deacon.
A deacon. That's what it is.
Deacon.
Yeah, a deacon.
You would be remiss if you were like, this is just a sci-fi horror movie that stands on its own.
Yeah.
Other than obviously the Weyland references and stuff like that, but otherwise, it just could have been its own movie.
And
really,
I feel like such a dummy because when I saw it as a kid, or when it came out, he was just a kid. I didn't. I
hate to break it to you, but you were in your early 20s when that movie came out.
It's just a kid. I was just a kid.
You were not.
I was a child.
That's a dumb summer child.
I was just a baby.
You were an adult.
Yeah, but I was also a preemie baby. So.
Dumb preemie babies.
Yeah, clearly. But watching it, I was like the masses, and I was really disappointed by the fact that it wasn't a traditional Alien movie.
Yeah.
And now with some time and distance from it, and having obviously other Alien movies come out since then, I can easily go back to it and be like, yeah, that's solidly number 3.
Yeah.
For its vision, for its scope, for its for the balls to like not pay off a lot of the stuff that people were expecting it to pay off.
Yeah.
Like, are you kidding me? I have so much respect for Ridley Scott for doing that and like being like, no, I'm gonna, instead of answering things, I'm going to add to the allure and the unknown nature of the xenomorph and the engineers and all this stuff.
Well, and not only not answer those questions, but to purposefully not answer those questions as to leave up the mystery of existence. And that's the whole point of Prometheus, was like the two scientists, all they wanted was to understand how life began.
Yeah.
And the disappointment that you get from the actual movie and the script itself is like, you're not going to get answers. We don't know why they did what they did. We don't know why they're so angry. We don't know why they created us in the first place. We don't know why.
Right.
And we don't know why as viewers, and she doesn't get that answer either. And that's what frustrates her to the very end, is like, I still need answers. This whole thing can't be for nothing. I need to know. That's why she's so, the very end of the movie is so she's so gung-ho about taking the ship and going back to, like, using the space map or whatever. She's like, I need answers. If it kills me, I need answers. And it does.
Yes.
Which leaves us to the number 4 spot.
Right, number 4. I am going to give it to Romulus. I think Romulus is my number 4.
Yeah.
I think it's really solid, as we've discussed this entire time. I think it's a good entry into the series, and yeah, I mean, I kind of hope we see a little more from this world. I'm interested to see where they go from here.
Yeah, I'm with you.
How about you?
Romulus is at the 4 spot.
Okay,
for sure.
Okay, we're digging deep now.
Yeah, now we're getting to the bottom of the barrel here.
All right, 5 for me is gonna be.
Yeah. You've got Covenant, Resurrection,
Stinky.
and Alien 3.
I think I'm gonna go with. Covenant
Yeah.
again because it's Ridley Scott. I don't think it's as good as Prometheus. I think it comes off as a very angry movie.
Yeah.
It feels like Ridley is like doing it begrudgingly and being like F you. But there's a charm to that, you know? There's a charm to an angry god of a director.
Yeah.
Just kind of lashing out at his audience. So yeah, that's why I would say it's probably Covenant.
I'm going to have to go with Resurrection for the exact reason why what you said is why I'm not going with Covenant. Covenant does seem like a guy who is lashing out at people who didn't understand Prometheus.
Yeah. You want to eat the slop piggy?
Yeah, and there's just a lot of moments in Covenant that I'm like, yeah, it just seems really Alien and Aliens, they start off in a way that like Alien is obviously a lot of is a crew of people who are they're just trying to help this derelict station. They're getting this distress beacon, and they're just there to help.
Yeah,
they're not even there altruistically.
No,
they just don't want to lose their money.
Right.
But that's fine because like that's what work is. You're just like, God damn it! All right, I will help you. I just want to go home and I just want to get paid. Aliens, they're literally there to help the colonists. They're like, what happened? That's why they sent the military. This is a spec ops team to go in and rescue these people, or at least to figure out what's going on.
They call them the best of the best.
Covenant almost instantly is disaster after disaster after disaster.
They're all bumbling idiots.
There is no moment of levity. There is no moment. There's not even a character to really hang your hat. Even the girl who ends up being like the last woman standing and is like our leading lady. The first half of the movie, she's just like, it's just disaster after disaster that has befallen her.
Well, I think we are supposed to at this point really kind of almost side with David. Like he's the only one that's really thinking.
Well, there's
this entire time.
I mean, until you discover what he's done to fucking Numi Rapace.
Yeah,
forgot her character's name, but until you discover what he's done to her,
I forget now too.
You're almost like you do kind of take David's side. He seems like he's there is obviously something going on. Something's not right.
Oh yeah.
But he does seem remorseful. He does seem like he's still trying to do the best thing.
Well, he's like lost.
Yeah. Until you figure out what he's done to her, and then you're like, oh he's
no.
evil. And then, but the aliens in this one aren't as iconic. The neomorph and the little white ones is just like, not until you get the OG xenomorph finally chest bursts out of the doctor or whatever, and you're like, fuck yeah. But that's at the very end of the movie.
Yep.
And at least in 4, you get xenomorphs
out the ass.
Dude, there's a moment in 4 where they're trapped in a thing. It makes me really think of who directed 4?
That was the French guy.
Yeah.
I forget his name.
Let me look it up real quick. Because I think we talked about this last week, but it has a very Fifth Element.
Yeah.
And there's a moment where there's like a bunch of xenomorphs trapped in a thing, and they have the button, and anytime that they act up, the doctor thinks he's training them. Mm-hmm. What he's really doing is showing them like, oh, it's just that button there? All right.
Yeah.
And then they sacrifice the one xenomorph who's like, dude, and they all they all look at him. 4 is a goofy ass movie.
It's silly, yeah.
It's a goofy fucking movie, but at least it's not angry. At least it's not like
Yeah.
my God, man, like, what did I do to you? I liked Prometheus. Why are you so mad at me?
And some people have said that it's clear that David is actually Ridley Scott himself. And like he's putting these characters through all this because he hates them so much.
Yeah.
I will say, okay.
Jean-Pierre Jeunet.
There you go.
Who directed Amelia, Delicatessen, Amélie, sorry.
Yeah.
The City of Lost Children, A Very Long Engagement, Alien Resurrection, Big Bug, I mean, I don't know, it's just a bunch of different shit.
Yeah. All right, you've won me over. I think Resurrection is better just for the fact that it's more watchable.
It is just more watchable. Covenant's
fun,
it's hard to
goofy.
rewatch. I've tried. After I watched it initially, I've tried to rewatch it twice.
Yeah.
And I can't really get
It's a
through
bummer.
it. Yeah, it's just it's a bummer.
But that being said, I'm gonna make it what's it? 6? The 1, 2, 3
Covenant is 6, yeah.
Our 6th pick. Yes. Is Alien Covenant, and then
obviously at the bottom
3.
is Alien 3.
Yeah. And then the AVP gets to
Honorable
own.
mentions is still
Yeah.
down at the bottom, but
right.
Alien 3, just a mishmash of ideas, rewrites, different directors. David Fincher's first or second movie.
Yeah.
He kind of got shafted, and it almost ruined his career.
Oh,
Reportedly.
he doesn't like it himself. Yeah.
Yeah.
He won't talk about it.
Well, and when it came out, and everyone was like, "This fucking sucks," and then they looked at who directed, and they're like, "He fucking sucks."
Yeah.
So.
The young guy.
Took
Blame it on him.
3 years to come back with 7, I believe. And obviously that jump-started his career. But, yeah, this almost killed the career of one of the best directors we have.
Yeah.
Could
you imagine?
There are people... I know, dude.
If we
no
lost
way.
Fincher because Alien 3 sucked.
Yeah, if he just started doing, like, music... He went back to music videos and doing, like, commercials and shit. There are people now I'm seeing... Again, going back to this conversation of revisionist history and nostalgia, are saying Alien 3 is one of the best in the series.
Shut up.
And
you don't even believe that.
I can't even entertain the conversation of Alien 3 being not only not bad, but one of the best in the series. Now, I will say this. Andy likes Alien 3. Rewatching it with someone who was like, this is awesome. Made me kind of rethink some of the stuff that I'm looking at.
Yeah.
Some of the like Sigourney Weaver is so good at everything that she does.
Sure,
She's
yeah.
given slop and she makes apple pie with it. So Alien 3, like everything that she does in Alien 3, she's still just so good in it that
She's got the iconic shaved head.
right?
Yeah.
She shines in it. She's awesome. The quadrupedal alien is at least an interesting departure.
Well,
I hate that it I hate the dog having to get face hugged and then chest bursted.
Horrible. Terrible.
Yeah, that happens in Alien 3. It's a dog, and that's why the alien is bipedal or quadpedal.
Well, and it's funny because growing up, that was the one that Alien 3 was the movie that was like around while I was like conscious. Right?
Yeah.
And they sold toys to us of
Yeah.
all these different kinds of aliens.
You
all
got
these
the-
different and you had to, part of the fun was figuring out what animal was murdered for this alien to exist. And so I remember the dog one. I remember there was like a gorilla one too.
Yeah.
And I think the toy let you squeeze the top of the alien head to suck up water and squirt out.
Yeah. Let me just say,
They were awesome.
Let me just say something. One of the reasons why this next generation is just worse off when it comes to pop culture is because they'll never understand taking a hard R movie and then turning it into toys for children and Saturday morning cartoons.
Yeah.
You will never understand the fucking whiplash of a movie that your parents told you you're not allowed to watch, and then turning around and seeing a cartoon made out of it, and them buying you the toys, but not allowing you to watch the movie.
Yeah, there were Toxic Avenger toys.
I had Toxic Avenger toys. And the video game was basically just a side-scroller beat-em-up.
Which most of them were.
Yeah, that's They were like, we're not going with any plot here.
Yeah. RoboCop.
RoboCop
Yeah,
was a cartoon.
RoboCop toys,
I had the
too.
toys. The Alien versus Predator toys. I had
course,
Predator
yeah.
toys.
Yeah.
Predator toys were sick as fuck. They made one that was like kind of translucent. Oh, man.
It was in cloak mode, right?
Yeah. Terminator toys. I had Terminator
yeah, of
toys.
course.
I had Blade toys. Blade.
I wish I had a Blade toy.
Oh, I had, dude, and oh my god, he came with multiple vests. So he came with one that was like from the beginning of the movie, super clean, and then you could take that one off and give him the one with like all like the like scratches and shit on it.
Yeah.
He came with a jacket that could come off. He came with all of his weapons, all of his like giant like handheld machine guns, like semi-auto pistols.
Yeah.
Or automatic pistols rather. The fucking blade that was like that that he fucking throw. It came with all that shit.
His
dog.
batarang.
Oh man, and obviously his sword, his iconic sword, which would go into his back. There was a slot to slide it into his back. Anyway,
It's a good toy.
yeah. So, yeah, you just don't get shit like that,
Right.
and they're worse off. They're worse off. These kids are worse off by not having the '90s fucking their brains up. By like, am I supposed to? People have been talking about this with Beetlejuice lately. The Beetlejuice cartoon, the movie. He wants to take her as a child bride and take her back to like the afterlife.
Yeah.
Winona Ryder's character, and then in the cartoon, they're just like best friends going on adventures and shit. Yeah. It's just the Mask cartoon.
Oh, yeah.
He would just go around doing fun, cool shit.
Compared to the comic.
Yeah. So yeah, they're worse off. They
Yeah.
need shit like that, and they're never gonna get it because we're just too woke now. We're just
They
too
couldn't make
woke.
that today.
Can't make that today.
Yeah. All that being said, I mean, I would heartily recommend you go out and see Alien Romulus, especially in theaters.
Absolutely.
Check it out. We have a unanimous score for it.
Mm-hmm.
What was it?
5.
We came up to a 5.
Yeah.
We're giving it a 5. So
Because I mean, even considering your score of like Aliens being 5.5.
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So giving it a 5. Check it out yourself. Come back if you haven't seen it. What are you doing?
Yeah.
We spoiled the entire movie for
Right.
you.
I don't know why. I mean, thanks for listening.
I appreciate it. Give us a thumbs up. But if you have already seen it, which I hope you have, let us know what you thought in the comments down there below. With that being said, is there anything else you want to add to our review?
No.
Okay.
I think we've exhausted it.
Good enough.
Yeah.
With that being said, this has been the One Reel In podcast, and that's a wrap.
Right on.
Yeah.
Let's all go to the. Let's all go to the. Let's all go to the lobby to get ourselves a treat.